I want to be left alone.
My husband and I have lived here for going on 25 years, each with our varying legal backgrounds, have committed to helping the neighbors in the fight against MVP.
This sage right of entry simply does not apply to the federal trespass and interference statute. Not that I necessarily want to do this again, but if we should have to, I think that's the absolute law.
There's a certain part of you when you see your neighbors being wronged that summons up a sense of justice.
Well, you're raised to think that if you buy property or you have a house, that it's yours. It's passed down to you, or if it's family land or it's something you just bought, that it's yours. And it's not. The government can come and take it at any time if they feel like they have a better need for it. It's not whether you like it or not, it's whether they like it or not. And they don't care if they come 20 feet from your front door or, right through your house. It would make no difference to them at all. They try to tell you they'll work with you if you sign the paperwork. They're bullies. You fight because you don't like bullies.
The wrongs make you angry. It's that inner, quiet sense of right and wrong, the recognition of truth and falsehood that motivates us to contribute what we can where we see a problem.
And one thing people don't understand is that they hire these eminent domain lawyers who supposedly represent you. That's like expecting the car salesman at the dealership to be on your side when you're trying to make a deal. It's all about them. All they want you to do is make a deal so they can get their part of it. It's all about the money. It has nothing to do with anything else. Property rights that make no difference, our supposedly constitutional right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means nothing.
One of the things that we deal with as landowners is the fact that these pipeline companies have greater protection under the law than we do. We don't have anybody that's out here defending us. A perfect example of that right now would be the anti-protest law that's going through West Virginia, where these infrastructure projects have the ability to be protected. If we go out and we protest against them, we can get arrested, we can face felonies, we can face fines. But when this pipeline company came onto my property, they trespassed. They assaulted me and my children, and they damaged my property. But not a single state agency, not a single law is on the books to protect us as landowners from the same kind of crimes that they want to be protected from. We don't have representation. FERC does not represent us, they don't protect us. We don't even get the right information or know where to go when an infrastructure project approaches us. We don't have the resources, we don't have all of the laws written in our favor. And it's a damn shame.
One thing I've come to understand in doing some of these cases for the landowners is just how hurt they are. I mean, here's somebody who's done nothing wrong at all, and all of a sudden people show up with chainsaws and bulldozers and backhoes and whatnot, tearing across land that the landowners feel is part of them. And it's created, I believe, a lot of mistrust by these landowners against the government, the courts, and I believe because of the payment schedule, the way it's set up, there's distrust amongst a lot of the landowners and their lawyers, which is unfortunate. There should be another system set up to pay the lawyers to truly and completely represent their clients, and not only trying to get the best bang for the buck on the easement, but to bring up the issues that could stop the pipeline to begin with.
Landowners are afraid. They fear that what they say could hurt their case in court or draw unwarranted attention from authorities. Early on, many landowners were taken advantage of by MVP land agents, either not understanding they ought to get an attorney or not wishing to get an attorney, but they signed agreements that were likely very harmful to themselves and very much in favor of the company. What I'm asking you to recall is that you've been sued by an out-of-state limited liability corporation with 300 other landowners, hauled into court like a herd of cattle.
This experience for my wife and I has been the most upsetting thing that's ever happened to us. I've gone through cancer treatments and got over that. I had a cow attack me here, broke my hip and broke my pelvic, got over that. Worked for the sheriff's office here in Franklin County. Of course, during that time I had people threaten to kill me. None of that, bar none, has been as upsetting as this pipeline and the way we've been treated by MVP and the courts.
People who before thought that the law was there to protect them have been so shocked and bewildered and feeling in a lot of ways abandoned by their government.
You know, I've thought many times the last several years, I don't know how many people on this planet truly love their home. Is it just a place to live? Is it where they feel safe? Or is it something that's part of their heart? This farm is as important to me as my family. This is my home. This is where I live. This is where I will die someday. And I feel so lucky to have a place like that I feel that way about. And it just compounds the fact that I resent so much that somebody's trying to take that away from me.
People who don't own and live and nurture rural property, lawyers and judges included, can't begin to understand the sense of loss, personal loss, and the sense of violation, physical and constant violation that these landowners feel.
They finally send me a contract with an offer of sum of money they want me to sign, and the contract also said that when you sign this, you have to also sign this IRS form so IRS can take 28% of the settlement. After you give your lawyer a third, I was going to wind up with less than half of it. This has never been about the money, never will be about the money. They don't have enough money to come in here and invade my property.
It's hard for, I think, everyday rural people to be sued by a pipeline company and be drug into court within a month or two and have a federal judge enter an order that says this pipeline company can come into your property and just begin to build. Generally, law-abiding, tax-paying, rural citizens, and any citizen for that matter, don't want to go into court and challenge authority figures. They have a difficult time asking questions. You don't know what you don't know. If you haven't ever had any experience in court, why would you know what questions to ask? And especially in eminent domain, which is a highly specialized area involving real estate, tax, business law. And I think the biggest shock to people is it's not necessarily a case that allows you a way out. In federal court in eminent domain, what you'd think of as the guilt or innocence phase has already been decided. And that is that the judge has banged a gavel and said, The FERC has already said that you're guilty and we're taking your property. We're only working out how much the pipeline company's going to pay you.
This thing is going to be less than 100 yards from my house, a 90-degree bend in a pipe under 1,400 pounds of pressure. How did I feel? It made me sick. It made me ill to think that these people had the right to do this, to come in here and invade my property.
We know families who, from the beginning, have committed themselves to challenging this pipeline. People have done it in different manner, different tactics. Some have been in trees, some have worked on environmental permitting, some have studied the eminent domain law, but all of them, in one way or another, are committed to their places. They consider that the place is a part of their identity. And that, in this age, in post-industrialization, an age of an urbanization of America, that we still have open ground, and that we still have farmers, individual family farms that people have had in their families for generations. Someone told me the other day that their farm was a centurion farm, 100 years old. And, you know, their dad and their granddaddy before him owned that property. And in a collective, that is our country's identity. More than that, to me, it's an identity of humanity, that people are bound to the earth and they're bound to care for their places, that they understand that this place, this water, this mountain, these trees, there is no other. There is no other this place. This is the only earth. This is the place that we have to give our children.